If it has a score, we cover it more. From football to lacrosse, hockey to baseball, we've got what you want. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, good morning, Canada. Welcome to the RP Show for Monday, June the 15th. It's RP here and DD there. How you doing, Dupes?
I'm really good.
For some reason, I guess it's because we're all in a frenzy around here to talk about what we're excited about. I'm a little behind in sharing the show and checking the text line and doing everything. So if I'm down with my nose in my phone here in the Rollout for Flooring Superstore, I'll look like Darren. You love that,
I get it.
Yeah. So just it'll be me sharing the stream to all our various groups and friends and so forth. But how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, good.
Good.
You?
Oh, awesome.
I saw you guys stopped after 9 on Saturday. You had enough of the wind.
We all golfed on Saturday. He was in his foursome. We were in ours. After 9, we called it a day. It was an 85-kilometer wind, and I see Carlos Legena writing in from sunny Indianapolis, Indiana. I don't know what 85 kilometers an hour wind is. It is damn strong. Are you around 55 miles an hour?
And you're right into it on like the longest hole on the course to start. And It's like you hit your iron shot. I probably could have ran and caught the ball.
Well, a perfect way to start the show talking about that. Jeff Hayes, our sales rep in Saskatoon, says, good morning. Hello, Jeff. I feel people are bouncy this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they are. But this is what I said, because everybody saw on my social media that we were golfing in this gale force wind.
Yeah.
And it seems like every weekend it's gale force wind. I said, if I ever get to golf in normal, calm conditions, I'll set the course record.
Exactly.
Right. I can't wait for that. So, yeah, I noticed that was it your brother you were with?
No, a couple of friends.
Okay. One guy kind of looked like a bigger version of you.
Yeah.
So I thought that might have been
Tall,
your brother.
No, not my brother.
Okay. It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was fun. So you're ready to talk sports today?
Yeah.
I still haven't shared in my groups, and some people, like the Regina Rams Alumni Association, gets upset if I don't share in their group. They could go do it. I'm talking about the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
But they like the RP touch. So I'll get to that.
People do.
Quick 6 show topics, but I've got like probably 13 topics. I told you I got a ton of things to talk about. A lot of things to untangle here this morning. One, the recap of our weekends, which we just kind of did. Did have a wonderful birthday for my uncle in a Quonset. For those that don't know what it is, look it up. A Quonset. Think they could Google it? I'm not going to tell you. You find out what it is.
I'm sure you could Google it. If you're from Saskatchewan, you know. Maybe our viewers across North America, some of them might not, but you could Google
social distancing and safety in a Quonset, by the way. I don't even know if they have them in America. And you brought up a very interesting stat as Mike Kelly checks in today from Palm City, Florida. Oh, Coach Kelly, I just got to tell you, I am very jealous when I see photos. I don't like the term envious. I'm very jealous. I'm very envious of Florida right now, particularly the NASCAR Cup Series race there yesterday in Miami. I'm just, love Miami so much. My Coach Kelly says, lots of nice courses in Palm City, Florida. Rod, you've got a place to stay. Well, thank you, Coach Kelly. Let's go.
The RP golf trip.
The RP golf. No. We're going to Miami for the NFL trip. We'll golf there because we got to work in golf.
Oh, yeah.
But Coach Kelly will be interested in this stat, as will a lot of our viewers. You mentioned our prime audience in terms of Canada versus U.S. split.
Yeah.
Do you want to relay that? And this is rough. I mean, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire.
No, it's rough, but it's... You would think that we have about, if you asked, and people could comment in, but we're probably about 95% Canadian audience. That's what you would think. The reality is that about a third of our audience comes from the United States. Right. That blew my mind. But those are communities we talked about: Ohio and Minnesota. Vegas is a big one. Arizona, even down into California and Florida. We're starting to see more viewers of the show. But a third of our audience comes from the United States, and that just kind of blew me away a little bit. You would have thought it just would have been so much more heavily dominated in Canada, but they're looking for a different perspective down there too, and it's it's a fresh program, and there's a lot of Canadians down there, but there's a lot of players, whether it's the CFL circles or the NHL circles. So that kind of surprised me a little bit how big our American market is.
Well, believe you me, because I've been watching ESPN all morning, they're talking about which is my point 3. Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard are against a return to play for 2 different reasons in the NBA. I'll get to that. The CFL came up a lot this morning in our morning meeting, and one is Randy Ambrosie. I was watching CFL 2020 on Friday night. I really enjoyed it. TSN has unveiled this show every Friday night. They're going to talk CFL football for, I think it was 30 minutes. It couldn't have been an hour. And it was good. Randy Ambrosie was on there. And he said he remains optimistic that the CFL will play in 2020. But everywhere I've been over the last 3 days, people are saying, where's Randy Ambrosie? Actually, you brought it up. One of the players tweeted a photo of Ambrosie and said, have you seen this man?
Yeah.
Who tweeted that?
Missing. I want to find it. I think it was Ricky Foley. I'm gonna look it up right now. But yeah, it was like a missing persons photo, and it had Randy Ambrosie. The commish is under a little bit of fire from the players.
And I'm not sure that he's been that invisible. I mean, no more or less than any other commissioner. So you tell me, folks, right in on the wall. It's like not like you can't find him. There's GMs and coaches and presidents that you can't find for hiding their hair. But the commissioner, I think, he's been on this show. He's been on TSN 1050 Radio Toronto. He was on the CFL 2020 the other night. So I think, as I said to you, no matter what he says, he gets lambasted. If he does an interview, they say, he didn't give us any information.
Right.
Or if he says we've been in constant contact with the players, and then they say that's BS, he gets ripped apart for whatever he says. So I think he's in a no-win situation, and I don't think that would be news to anybody at this time.
No, of course not. But, it gets drilled into my head here is you got to take care of the people who take care of you. Right? We got to take care of our advertisers. We got to take care of our sponsors. It's so important to make sure you treat them well. In the CFL's perspective, you got to take care of the players. Doesn't matter sometimes if you're doing the right thing or not, or if you feel that you're doing the right thing. If they're upset, you're clearly not doing something right. So you got to find a way to keep them, to keep those communication lines open.
That's why we love you folks joining us for coffee today. Because of your comments, the viewers. Ken Kioski says, you're from Saskatchewan when you have been to a few Quonset parties. The Quonset's that large barn-looking building, but it's made of metal, and you keep your implements in there. You keep your tools in there. It's way bigger than a shed, but it's smaller than a barn.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a Quonset party. And the guy even wrote it right. Colin in Ottawa says that Rob Manfred of Major League Baseball has been more invisible than Randy Ambrosie, but that league actually makes money. I will contest that maybe he's been, Rob Manfred, more invisible than Randy Ambrosie, but when he's come out, it's been quality, not quantity. Last week, he guaranteed there will be games. And there's a lot of fake news out there, conjecture and misinformation. But he said there's a 100% chance we're playing games, which actually sounded like a threat to me, that we'll bring in replacement players if we have to. And I read an article this morning, and the Marlins president was quoted, they're already looking ahead to 2021 from a business perspective. So some teams are just writing off 2020 and talking about contracts and so forth. I know we're all out of order here on our topics, but really, who cares?
Yeah.
Was the boss going to get mad at us?
Exactly.
We are the bosses.
Yeah.
So Ambrosie's getting ripped from pillar to neck to navel here on this, and no matter what he does, he's going to be in trouble. So he knows that. Yeah. Point 4, Roger Goodell says, we were wrong. I went back and watched the clip this morning. We were wrong by not listening to Colin Kaepernick 3-4 years ago when the anthem kneeling thing started. Well, furthermore, will Colin Kaepernick play? I don't even know if the NFL is going to play or not. Do we ever see him on an NFL field again? That might have been a good poll question today. What do you think?
I don't think so. He'd have to be willing to probably do another open workout, willing to say, okay, look it, now you guys are listening, I'll listen now. So you guys are kind of apologizing, understanding the movement. Well, now I'll understand that you guys don't want the distraction and you kind of need somebody to play ball a little bit. So I'll do the workout on your terms. If he shows one sign now of concession, just of wanting to play ball, the NFL's kind of apologized. They're not. Maybe you can argue whether they're meeting in the middle or not. Now Kaepernick has to take a step towards the middle to show that he's willing to work with them. It could happen, but right now I don't see it. Still.
Doesn't sound like he wants it all on his terms.
Yeah. And that never works.
That's not going to happen.
No.
Reading a few of our messages here that have come in from our viewers today. Trent in Norway writes in. He says, Norway calling. You may need the wins to help set the golf course record. Rod, I remember playing a few old-time dances at a few Quonsets through the years. We stayed dry every time. I can't wait for the Raptors to defend their title. Hope the CFL gets its house in order. Stay well, everyone. Carlos in Indianapolis had a good comment there. If you boys wouldn't mind throwing it up and tell me when you do. Because point 5 is, what is next for the CFL? Are we heading towards a time of no salary cap at all? I mean, we see if you break the cap, you're not going to be fined. Will all contracts be terminated? Carlos in Indianapolis says, publicly present or not, a decision needs to be made soon regarding CFL football in 2020. Canada Day is fast approaching, and I think something needs to be done then if there's going to be a regular season start come Labor Day. Is that a reasonable ask by Carlos or any fan that agrees with him that we just need a decision, yes or no? Are you willing to live with the bad news, I guess is my point. I mean, I've said it a few times with Canada West, the Western Canadian University Conference canceling their games. It just seemed like at the first hint of trouble, we're gone. If the CFL cancels their season, Randy Ambrosie wants to know that he's exhausted all options. He's said that publicly, and I believe that. If the CFL pulls the plug on 2020, it's because there's absolutely no chance they can play. That's why they're holding on, and I find that admirable. Mm-hmm. Now, on the flip side, we were talking about Chad Jeter, Rough Riders defensive lineman, D-end, super guy. He's been on this show. Every day he's been tweeting, will today be the day we hear? Will today be the day we hear? And then yesterday he puts out on Twitter, and I'm not totally, maybe not totally accurate on what he said, but he said, hey, I got a master's in business administration. I have a minor in this. Will you hire me? Like, he's moving on. And if he gets his dream job outside football, he's probably not coming back to play football again. But would you not be advising the players right now, go get jobs? Because we're now into week 2, by the way.
Yeah.
They're not getting checks from the Canadian government. They're damn sure not getting checks from their teams. What do you expect them to do?
I know. You have to find a way to provide, right? And a lot of these players have young families. They've got significant others. They're starting to, get to that next stage of their lives. And a lot of them are starting to think about life after football, or they should be, because the CFL career is just not a long one for most players. I'd be advising them to get jobs too. I mean, you want to be flexible, that you can come back. You can still train. You can come back when the season's on. But yeah, with so much uncertainty and unknown, you got to make sure you're looking out for you and yours, and they got to do that.
Dan Millette writes in and says Mosaic Stadium should put a Quonset cover for a roof. That would be awesome.
Now,
that would be so Saskatchewan. A big Quonset roof over Mosaic Stadium. Why didn't we think of that?
And Mosaic in a hailstorm or a rain, it'd be so loud. It'd be so loud.
It'd be awesome. We would call it the Quonset.
Yeah.
The Mosaic Quonset. Michael Gregory's watching in New Orleans. Nolans. And he says you got to go through hell to get to heaven. Well, yes. But in sports terms, we're still in hell. Now, in life terms, we're not, by the way. I didn't say this, but I spent the weekend dealing with some really nasty, scary stuff. And you know that there's children in the hospital with compromised immune systems that can't even see their parents and haven't seen them for months. They've got nurses delivering messages or giving them hugs on behalf of their parents. So imagine being a toddler and you can't see your parents. Think about that for a second. And NBA players are afraid to go back and play? Do I always need to bring the gravity to the situation just to kind of hit home and realize somebody's got it way worse than you? Could you imagine? That's hell, Darren.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine that, having, a child that you can't see, a loved one, period. Yeah, there's so much worse going on right now, for sure. And I know this is a step further from the grocery store worker, but We got that nice message from the grocery store worker who kind of was appreciative of your rant the other day.
Did I get one?
Yeah, the one came into the show. I think it was in our DMs.
I didn't see it.
Okay, well, we got to find it and show it to you. It's pretty good.
Okay.
But
I actually got some support for once?
yeah, but it's
wow.
But you got to see the other side of the situation. Is that you're right. There is so much worse going on. And just because in Saskatchewan or Manitoba or in your community the curve is flattening, it doesn't mean it is everywhere. And you look at the states, there's a map that I saw over the weekend with green and orange and yellow and red, depending on the severity of COVID cases, going up, going down, who's flattening the curve, who's not. You know, again, we can't see out of our own bubbles, right? So just because you're flattening the curve and think the whole world should be open, or New Zealand's taking care of business and they've opened up the whole country, doesn't mean that it's gone from the world. There's still bad situations out there.
I'm sorry. And that's why I don't like to be the heavy. I mean, this Dan Millette says, Rod, I can't even think about that. What, thinking about reality that those children haven't seen their parents or family for months and nurses have to deliver hugs for them? Nurses wearing shields, by the way. You don't have to think about it, but it is going on. And I just think if people could get outside their own goddamn world for once and think about somebody else and what they're going through, it might make a bit of a change here. But here we sit on day 95, no further ahead, people still bitching at each other's throats, and these players saying, frankly, not all of them, but there are some that don't want to go back to play because they fear the coronavirus. I got mine. I got money in the bank. We're good. So you guys sort it out and come get me when it's over. These guys are role models to kids. Kids are looking up to them, and this is the message that they're sending. It's my commentary that's running on Cat Country 98 this morning. I agree with Charles Barkley that you didn't get into being a pro athlete to be a role model. I agree with that. But you are. Whether you like it or not, you are. So kids are looking up to these athletes that don't want to play, and you got frontline workers, grocery workers, health workers that aren't being looked up to. And just people that do an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and kids, that's not sexy because they're not on Instagram holding up 10,000 cash to their ear. Oh, sorry.
No.
I'm going to lose my mind here.
You're right. And it's just like my brother who works in the mine, right? I mean, he didn't sign up for to be underground all day, but they pay him a little extra for the danger pay. He didn't sign up to be a role model, but you're getting paid to take on that responsibility. You don't have to be a pro athlete.
Point 6, sports options. I watched NASCAR yesterday. It was delayed, but it was awesome from Miami. And actually, I watched it from the start. What did the announcer say? We're under green. I didn't even know that was a term. Like once the green flag drops, we're under green. Away they go.
All right.
And it's fun watching them. Where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
UFC, watch Fight Night Saturday night. I don't know, PGA a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And that's why I say the CFL needs to stay top of mind because they're just going to slide right off the table. One point that I had was our simulation games. I know people are watching it. Here's our week 1 scores from our computer simulations. These are actually believable, I would suggest. The Edmonton Eskimos beat the BC Lions 27-16 in Edmonton Thursday Night Football. Friday night doubleheader. Huge upset in my mind. You called it. I didn't. Matt Nichols wins his Argos debut. Dinwiddie gets the blue Gatorade shower. The Argos win in Ottawa, 55-19. Lapolice, Arbuckle. I'm very upset.
Surprised at the score.
That it was a molly-whopping like that? Calgary Stampeders rout Montreal 47-20. James Wilder Jr. was watching our simulation and interacting with fans. This is marketing, people. Fan engagement. That's what it actually means. And Hamilton avenged their loss in the Grey Cup. They beat Winnipeg 23-12 at Ivor Wynne Stadium. Wade Miller liked my Facebook post on that, even though they lost.
Wow.
So, week 2 coming up. There's that. We'll get into that. I didn't even mention who's on the show today, by the way. Jim Mullen, the president of Football Canada. Troy Westwood, who needs no introduction. Jim Lawson, who's the CEO of Woodbine Racetrack in Toronto. I can't wait to talk to Jim. Former, you know that name, of course, former chairman of the CFL's Board of Governors. And Brian Snow, the Snowman, going to join us from Indy. Thanks, everybody, for the support. I apologize for the language that I use, but I'm I'm frustrated with people that 94 days into this, they're not getting it. As my father-in-law used to say, wiki wiki. Okay, poll question before we go to Jim Mullen. Today's poll question, because we wanted to keep it somewhat not COVID related, for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center. Which Canadian city would be the best hub for the NHL? Because we know they're going to Las Vegas in America, and they may still not come to Canada, but if they did, what's the best city? Vancouver, Edmonton, Toronto, or Saskatoon? What a shock. On Facebook, Edmonton leads with 50%. Well, they're number 3 for viewership for this city, for this show. That wouldn't surprise me. On Twitter, 42% leading the vote. They're saying Saskatoon.
Yeah.
So we'll have some fun with that throughout the program. Is Jimmy Mullen ready to roll? Okay. Oh, all of Canadian football fans will be tuned in for when we come back. Jim Mullen joins us. He is the president of Football Canada, and you know he's got thoughts on Canada West canceling fall sports. That's next. It's the RP Show. This has been the Rollout for Flooring Superstore. Canada's morning sports talk show continues after this on Facebook Live, Game Plus TV, and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpeterson.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.